Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's clinical lecture on abnormal uterine bleeding, a systematic approach to diagnosis and management. I am Dr. Jeff Mate, a senior lecturer in the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology. We go now to the assessments. How do you assess these patients systematically, and how do you do a history and physical examination? First, systematic history is very essential. Let me walk you through the key elements. Start with a detailed characterization of the bleeding. What is the pattern of the bleeding? The onset, the duration, the frequency, and the volume. Ask specifically whether the cycles are regular or irregular. Document the last menstrual period and explore associated symptoms. Ask for the pain. Is there any pain? Is there any pressure? Is there any dyspareunia? And also ask for menstrual history. What is the age of menarche? What is the cycle history? And what was the previous normal pattern versus this current one? Also document obstetric history, including the parity, the pregnancy complication, and delivery mode. Remember that previous C-section can lead to scar defects. Assess risk factors also systematically. Is she obese? Is she diabetic? Is she hypertensive? And is she having PCOS or thyroid disease or any family history of gynecological cancer? Assess those ones. In the history also, review current medication like contraceptive, anticoagulant, anything that might affect the bleeding. And finally, ask about systemic symptoms like thyroid symptom like heat or cold intolerance, changed weight, easy bruising, or any bleeding manifestation. Let's pass through now the physical examination. Start always with a general assessment. Check for pallor. Check for vital sign. Check for PMI. And do an abdominal examination. Look for masses, any organomegaly, any tenderness. And later on, you go to pelvic examination, starting with speculum examination, cervical lesion, polyps, vaginal masses, look for them. Then you go for bimanual examination. You assess for uterine size, consistency, tenderness, and mobility. The key findings that you need to document is the size for the uterus, size, shape, consistency, tenderness, mobility, irregularity. In the cervix findings, you need to write if there is any ectropion, polyps, contact bleeding, and cervical moisture tenderness. And for adnexal findings, you need to write if there is any mass or not, and if there is any tenderness. Okay, let's talk now about investigations. The basic first line investigation. Always perform first a pregnancy test. This is mandatory in all women. In fact, it's saying all women are pregnant until otherwise. So always mean always. So perform a pregnancy test in all women of reproductive age, regardless of what they tell you about contraception or sexual activity. Or you can use a urine HCG for rapid screening, or you can use a serum beta HCG for quantitative result. Pregnancy-related bleeding, including ectopic pregnancy and miscarriage, must be excluded. Yes, and do a complete blood count to check for hemoglobin, hematocrit, and MCV, essential for anemia assessments. And do also thyroid tests. TSH for primary screening, but T4 it is to check if the TSH was normal to be characteristics. Thyroid disease affects ovulation, as we said earlier. You can do selective testing based on history, like coagulation profile, if the history leads to coagulation. You can do hormonal assay if you suspect anovulation or ovulatory dysfunction. This will be done by doing prolactin, FSH, LH, or androgen. What about imaging? Transvaginal ultrasound is our first-line imaging modality, evaluating abnormal uterine bleeding, and for good reason. Why is it the first line? Because it is non-invasive, is widely available, and cost-effective, and in real-time dynamic assessment, you see what is going on, and detailed uterine and ovarian evaluation is done at the same time. So TVUS evaluates several key like endometrial thickness, polyps and fibroid, adenomyosis features, and ovarian pathologies. So it is really very important to do that. That's number one. And you can do specialized ultrasounds technique like saline infusion sonography or even color Doppler if they are available. When do you use MRI? I said again earlier that detailed fibroid mapping is done by MRI, and adenomyosis confirmation. When to use MRI? For if you want detailed fibroid mapping, this is usually before surgery, you are planning for surgery, or if you want to do adenomyosis confirmation, the gold standard for adenomyosis is what? MRI. What about endometrial sampling? Endometrial sampling for histological assessment is critically important. Let me be very clear about indications. It is mandatory for age over 45 with abnormal uterine bleeding, and 2 for post-menopausal bleeding at any age. Very important. And consider it in young women if there is risk factors of malignancy, if there is failed medical management, and if there is persistent intermittent menstrual bleeding. And how do you do the sampling? You can use office biopsy with PPLs, which is preferred method in majority of cases, but you can also use dilatation and curettage. It is therapeutic and also diagnosis at the same time, but the problem is it requires anesthesia. The key point here is office biopsy is highly sensitive, 95 to 98 sensitivity for detecting cancer. And histology will distinguish between hyperplasia, which can be two types, typical and atypical, and also distinguish carcinoma. Hysteroscopy. Hysteroscopy represents the gold standard for endometrial cavity assessment. This is endoscopic examination of the uterine cavity using a hysteroscope, allowing direct visualization, and also simultaneously you can do treatment. If you find polyp, you remove them. Indication include abnormal uterine findings, persistent bleeding, or you are suspecting polyps. Advantages: you have direct visualization, so the sensitivity is 100%, and you target the biopsy of the tumor that you've seen, and also simultaneously you are doing the treatment. It can be polypectomy or myomectomy. So, consideration about the timing of the procedure. Timing is very important. Proliferative phase, that's the best time, day 6 to 10, for optimal view of the tumors there. Setting, you can do it in office or in day surgery. And safety, it's generally safe and there are rarely some risk.